Hello there, YouTube. I'm Wheelchair21, and today we're building a Bionicle. Yes, it is Tahu, Uniter of Fire from the 2016 line. Anyways, we're gonna open this little puppy up on screen, show you what's in the box, and it's not that much really. One bag pertaining to the actual armor pieces and, well, most of its harder parts. Another bag for the little pieces, and, well, honestly, the instructions, because this thing's not gonna really build itself, as well as the cool little nice swords that the 2016 line features. So, I made the actual upper torso, waist, and that first. Simple thing, you gotta put a little force though to plug in its hips. Now this part, a lot of innuendos can come from by inserting the rod through the ass end of the toy and having to install the gear system to allow it to flow and move correctly. Honestly, this is probably one of the coolest things though about the 2016 line is we finally have waist articulation. So, yeah, more points of articulation on our Toas for once, giving them more humane-like features. Now, the construction is kind of tedious, and I do splice and edit the video quite a bit, so we can just get to the nitty-gritty, and I just narrate over the parts. There'll be some commentary, some thoughts, some opinions. Nevertheless, let's enjoy. So, this part right here, I did do a little bit of a variation. As you can see in the instructions in the background, it shows to put orange pieces. Now, the orange pieces, a lot of people say shouldn't really be there, and they should be on the ankle joints, which you'll see later in the video. So what I did was, I took the blue that is shown on the box, and is shown in the instructions to be in this assortment, and I put it on the back piece for its spine, replacing the orange pieces and swapping them around. Now, that actually helps it look a lot better when you look at it from the front profile, and when you have it in that area, you don't even know these blue pieces exist until you flip Tahu around. So this variation actually helps your figure. It looks a lot nicer, and it kind of goes well because, a human's nervous system is blue, or at least that's how it's depicted. So you might as well just post or put your pieces on the back of the actual Toa, as well as it actually goes a lot better with his chest piece because there is quite a bit of blue on Tahu for his design. Actually, this part right here where I'm putting on this part to his spine to help him connect to Ikir, I screwed up like 4 times. I had to retake the video of me actually setting the parts 4 freaking times till I got it right. So, yeah, that's a piece of information right there. I kind of learned from doing the video, don't put the freaking instructions in the background, whereas the next step, you'll kind of see why, is because this piece here, you kind of have to shish kebab all the parts to create your shoulder joints. So, yeah, in this little, I call shish kebabbing shoulder, you have to have 4 pieces before you put on the next connector, which I think is used to either store um, maybe his weapons or help connect to Ikir a little bit more, because there is like that little port in the back. I do know you also use it to connect and lodge him into his torso, keep it well snug and locked in place, keep it all nice and sturdy, because, Tahu might move around a little too much if it's not stable. I gotta say, the construction of this is a lot interesting, a lot more cooler, well in depth skeletal structure than the 2015 line. The new 2015 line isn't that entirely impressive once you've gotten this 2016 line. As well as the 2016 line feels more streamlined. It's well, I guess, planned out, thought of, constructed, and stays pretty damn well to a humanoid design. One thing I gotta say is the actual design, once finally constructed, it reminds me quite a bit of the Toa Metru slightly, on how they were actually made by LEGO back in the early 2000s. Now, feet, the legs, the arms are one of the simplest things to build on a Bionicle. Like, no matter what, it is the most simple thing to build. It's just plug, slug, and chug, and not necessarily in that order, but it's just something. It's an easy construction. It's something that a lot of people know how to do. Once you do one limb, you can do the other limb, unless they throw in a weird gear hinge joint action gimmick. I'm not really a fan of putting the action joints in the arms and in the hips, so finally this is the Bionicle I've been looking for. And honestly, I think even the Metru only had it in their shoulders mostly because of how they were designed. Never mind. I really just love the Toa Metru for some reason. I like when the Taragas had their story before the original. That's just me. But the legs, the designs, really interesting, really cool. Love it. Best part so far. I gotta say, it's really weird though seeing Tahu in all this gold and not so much orange or red. It kind of makes me feel like this is more of a throwback to Toa Lee Khan. And a lot of people are like, why do you keep referencing Metru Nui? That's just one of my favorite times in the Bionicle lore. I don't know why. It's always been. But, times have changed, so maybe there's a lot more throwbacks than we think, other than just having the Toa Nuva symbols throughout the actual figures. Yeah, I'm straight up telling you there are Toa Nuva symbols on the figures. Bionicle told that in the press release, like some guy released that information, other people released that information, and like the fandom didn't necessarily catch on until they saw the toys in store and saw the designs and then looked back at their old, Bionicle guides. So, honestly, the hardest parts to it sometimes tend to be building the spine and, well, the construction of the shoulders. But the hardest part is way at the end. It's just making sure you get the swords put together because the swords, goddamn, that is probably one of my most hated parts of the figure thus far. So, honestly, yeah, I mean, what else can I say? It's just a really easy build. The hips, the legs, decent, well constructed. Not as beefy, I gotta say. I hated 2015's Tahu because his lower abdomen plate was also his shin guard. I don't understand why it was that beefy, why it was that bulky. I kind of expected that kind of design to be like on Onua's legs than Tahu's, because when you get Onua, he's kind of stout, kind of short and bulky, which you would think he'd be one of the bigger Toa from all of them, not just in his chest, but actually one of the tallest, because he's kind of like the big muscle man of the group. He's always been, even when he had the more sleeker design. Onua's always been the muscle in the Toa. So we finish up making the legs, moving on to the actual head, which honestly, great improvement. They cut down the piece of the pipe lighting, so his eyes and that, so when it knocks off the mask, it doesn't always fly off just by touching the figure. Honestly, that was one thing everyone hated about the first line of the new generation. Masks flew off, masks went everywhere. They didn't stay on the goddamn Toa. It was just a freaking comedy act. Really, it was. I know that a lot of people say the worst helmets to stay on or masks to stay on are the Skull Warriors. They barely ever do. And so, like I said, there's the chest piece. As you can see in the dead center, the old Nuville symbol. And practically we're almost done. The arm construction, fairly decent. Actually, a lot easier to make than the legs. Few less parts, few less pegs, few less everything. So, honestly, I gotta say, I would want to have them take the gray out of his legs or take the black out of his arms and switch it around to make it more streamlined. I don't know what was their process or thoughts going into that because he just doesn't look right having so many shades. I think a color scheme should always kept to about 4 colors, which it does in this case, but that's like your far maximum. I think the gold, orange slash red, and black works a lot better than having the gray in the feet towards the ankle joint or in the thighs. I just think it just doesn't really work. I think Soundout said it the best in one of his reviews is like when you see a lot of the gray in the legs, it kind of makes you think like they're wearing almost like some kind of jeans, like faded jeans. So I kind of can see where he's coming from now. So I gotta say, the shoulder joints here, or at least the shoulder caps for the actual plates and guards, look really interesting. I like how they look like a claw, like a beast claw. So I'm hoping a Rahi uses it in the future. as well as I can't really say how much I hate the swords enough, then I hate these goddamn swords. The construction is kind of interesting. Like I said, I learned don't put the freaking instructions in the background, actually put them in front of me so I don't screw up as many times as I did with the swords. I think I screwed up with the swords just as much as I screwed up with the unity joint in the back of his spine around 4 to 6 times. I lost count after like the third time, so it could have been even more than 6. Now, this part is seemingly one of the easiest parts, but it is quite tedious when you have to assemble all the connector points to make his swords or his welders. To me, I think it's like a welding weapon because there's the flame in the back and the blade in the front. And it also made me think still yet again of Vakama when he was a Matoran, he was a mask maker. So I feel like they're trying to combine the story since none of the Turaga are in the story thus far. We don't have the original, well, I should say the Toas before the Toas, but then again, they created those Toas after. It's a confusing story. Go back, read Generation 1, check the Wikia, watch the movies, you'll have a fun freaking time. I know as I did growing up as a kid. Hell, I still enjoy watching those movies. I still enjoy reading those books even as of today. So, this is the part where Sound Out told me like 4 times, just build it off the figure. Did I listen to him? Hell no. What does that boy know? Well, this time he was right in this case. Doesn't know much, but, he was right in this case. Alright, pop shot out, sound out complete, I think. We might have more saved up in the last few minutes of this video. Who knows? Stay tuned in the next episode of Dragon Ball Z! Wait, this is still Lego. Never mind. Okay, so, like I said, as you can see in the right-handed wielding weapon, I screwed up. Like, I had to retake that 6 times. The left came a lot quicker to me because I noticed it a lot quicker in the instructions as well as on the box. I was like, oh, damn. Oh, damn. Like I said, here's the fade where it showed that it took me some time to realize my mistake. Anytime you see a true fade, that's when I screwed up the most. It shows more of a progression of time. Nevertheless, almost done with this video. Honestly, I just love the 2016 line. It throws me back to, like I said, the Metro Wave. I don't know why. Just there's a lot of reminiscent feelings and stuff when constructing it, and how it looks, feels, yada yada yada. But it's like they took my 2 favorite eras of Bionicle, the original and the second gen of the first gen, or I should say waves or series or whatever you want to say, and they combined them into one Ultimate Toa. Nevertheless, the welders, the skeletal design always throws back to Vakama, or even the use of the gold plates makes me think it's goddamn Khan. But that's a whole nother story. I keep wanting to go back, but I can't. Anyways, the new mask's really interesting, very reminiscent, but anyways, I'm Wheelchair21. This is the first ever Let's Build. We did it with Bionicle, we'll do it with Mini-Pla, we'll do it with Gunpla. You can find these videos here on my channel over at herotaku.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and I will see you next time with Iku, the creature of fire.